Are you sure that you want to retire early? Everybody seems like they want to figure out a way to create a source of income or create amass enough wealth or creates enough passive income streams that they don't have to work anymore. And I'm just not sure anybody ever spends enough time exploring the question, why? Or is this the thing that we should be running after? That's what I want to explore in this video. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's good to have you here. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jeremy Mason. My goal is to create good Christian content for just Christians. I want to help encourage people in their faith and in their walk with the Lord and give good practical biblical advice that applies in today's culture. And today I want to explore the idea of work. For some reason, people seem to have this idea that work is a bad thing. Work is a thing that we should figure out a way to avoid, that we should figure out a way to get to a place as quickly as possible that we don't have to do it anymore. It's almost as if people think that work is the result of the fall, but it's not. God created man and placed him in the midst of the garden to keep it and to dress it. In other words, in a perfect environment, God's ideal setup for mankind, he had a job to do. And I think people somehow miss that. Now, granted, the result of the fall was that God cursed the ground and it brought forth thorns and thistles, and man was going to have to work in the sweat of his brow, and the ground wasn't going to bring forth abundantly the way that it would have in a perfect environment. But work was never the problem. And so I think we need to revisit this idea of pursuing early retirement and see what the Bible has to say about work. Colossians 3:23 says, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men." Now, people have people have all kinds of objections to work or having a job. Maybe they don't like working for somebody. Maybe they don't like being bound to a certain schedule placed upon them by somebody else. Maybe they just don't like being told what to do. Some of those are legitimate reasons to not want to work a traditional 9-to-5 job. But that's not the same thing that we're talking about. So many people want to find the next get-rich-quick scheme or win the lottery or have this one-time brilliant idea that's going to set them up financially in such a way that they'll never have to work again for the rest of their life. And I just don't understand it. Now, I'm not going to say there's never been a time in my life where I had that mindset, because I certainly did. And it took some learning and being taught and getting in the Bible and some experience to get to a point where I understood a better way. And I'd like to share that with you today. We already talked about that work is not the result of the curse. Work is a good thing. There's so many benefits of work in the Bible that we could go through, and I don't have time to go through all of them in this video. Obviously, it's good for your body to work. It's to do something physically. And of course, you can go to the gym and you can artificially create that. But we were designed to work. And so I do recommend going to the gym if you're somebody that works a job that isn't very physical. Obviously, we all need physical activity, but there's something good about hard work. The Bible has so much to say about it, and it's going to have to be the content for another video for another day. But just in a nutshell, the Bible even talks about how working hard makes you tired. So at the end of the day, you go to bed when certain dangers come out so certain dangers come out at nighttime, and God designed a way for man to work hard all day, be tired, and go to bed, and so that he does not have to encounter certain dangers. We'll have to make a video about that sometime. I don't have time to go over it in this one, but work is very good for many reasons. Now, the problem with work is not work. The problem with work for many people is that their work isn't meaningful. And so I think we'd all agree that the ideal situation would be for all of us to find work that we're wired to do, things that we love to do, and things that provide meaning for us. Some people have even gone so far as to say that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I don't know if that's exactly the case. I think sometimes even if you're doing something that you love, it's just going to be a drudgery and you're going to have to work your way through it. But it certainly helps. I think we'd all agree on that one. But what I really wanted to get to with this video is that work can be meaningful even if the work is not inherently meaningful itself. Obviously, we all want to find something that is meaningful to us. But in case you're not there yet, I want to show you what the Bible has to say about how it can still have meaning for you now, whatever it is that you do. As the verse said, whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men. And that's the first point, is to remember that your work is not for your boss. It's not, first of all, not even to take care of your family and the other things that income allows you to do. It's unto the Lord. I think in Christianity, people have this problem sometimes where they sort of compartmentalize between ministerial work and secular work. And especially among like young people who feel like they have a call to a ministerial position on their life, they almost struggle with the idea that they're wasting time working any other job before they get that position. And it's just simply not a biblical idea. Biblically speaking, your secular work is ministerial in that it is unto the Lord. Whatever it is that you do, if you're a plumber, if you're a carpenter, if you're an electrician, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, teacher, whatever you do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men. And that makes it work for the Lord. Not just in the sense that some, your work is a great mission field if you do it the right way. Obviously, you're there to do a job and get paid to do the job that you're supposed to be doing. So don't be like some people and just ignore your responsibilities and evangelize while you're at work. No, you have to be wise about it and do your job. And your evangelism is not going to mean that much if you're holding back the team around you and they're picking up your slack. I think about Daniel when he went to Babylon and the Hebrew boys that were with him. They were 10 times better than the people around them. And that testimony was prerequisite before they ever got anything done as far as showing people who the Lord was. Their testimony came first. And so that's important to remember. But some people think that their physical job is only beneficial on a spiritual level in that it is a mission field. And I'm here to tell you that that's just not the case. The work itself is meaningful if you do it unto the Lord. Now, not just that, but Christians are supposed to tithe. I hope you tithe. I hope you have got to a point in your life where you understand how beneficial it is to tithe. It makes you a more thankful person. It makes you appreciate money more. It makes you more aware of God's ability to take care of you on a physical level. It does so many things. Overall it works out the giving muscle, and it'll make you a more generous person in general. So there's so many benefits to it, and you're not going to outgive God, by the way. So it's a very good thing. And your job, even if the work itself is not something that's extremely meaningful to you, what it does is it provides you with income that allows you to tithe and give to missions. And so you're literally at that job creating income that goes directly into ministries. And that is meaningful, even if the work itself isn't meaningful to you. And then, of course, you're taking care of your family. And so your job is meaningful as a husband and as a father, if you're in that role. If you're a woman outside of the home working, same thing applies. You're creating income for your family to put your family in a better situation and take care of your kids. And that is meaningful. By the way, the Bible talks about in Genesis chapter 49, Jacob is on his deathbed. Jacob, of course, the father of has 12 sons who become the 12 patriarchs of Israel. And on his deathbed, he kind of blesses each of his sons and gives some prophecy concerning each of his sons. And of course, Reuben, the firstborn, comes along right in the first in line there. And Jacob says this. He says a lot of negative things about his son based on some things that he had done. But he says this. He says, Reuben, the beginning of my strength. And I had read that verse a lot, and it never really meant anything to me. But when I became a father, I have 3 boys. When I became a father, I read that verse again. And it really meant something to me that time, because I found out the truth behind that verse when I had a son, my first son. And that is that in your 20s, in your late teens, when you first start working and you think you know what it means to hustle and grind and work hard, and so you might think at times that you've reached your maximum capacity for work and that you're just at the peak exhaustion level that you can imagine. What you find out when you have a kid is that there is another gear. You have got another gear. Reuben was the beginning of Jacob's strength. That's what Jacob said by his own testimony. And I can testify to you all that the same was very true when I had a son. When you have a kid, it gives you such an extra motivation behind everything that you do that you find a gear that you did not know that you had. And so I say all that to say, tying back to the conversation that we're actually having right now about work, work becomes very meaningful in that you're providing for your children. And not only does it add meaning to the work, it also allows you to work harder than you thought you possibly could and more than you thought you possibly could. And so just to encourage some of you, the thing is, like, there's so much content on YouTube about grinding and hustling in your 20s and retiring early and all this. And I don't mind the grind. I don't mind the hustle. I'm just here today to challenge the fact that early retirement is a worthwhile endeavor and goal. I think that work is very good. It's very beneficial. And if you're in work that you don't find to be meaningful, obviously your ultimate goal is to find work that is meaningful. But I think hopefully you can take from this video a couple things to think about in the work that you have now that will add meaning to it and help you to get through your day-to-day grind. God bless y'all.